She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, lips trembling not with fear, but with shame. "Please," she said, eyes darting past me like I wasn't there. "Don't come to Alyssa's birthday." That's how it began. Not with a fight, not with an affair, not with some dramatic confrontation. Just a request. One that shouldn't have hurt the way it did. "Why?" She hesitated, then whispered like the words might collapse if said too loudly. "She's introducing her boyfriend. He's successful. I just don't want everyone comparing." "Comparing what?" I asked, even though I already knew. She looked away. "I told them you had an accident. That you couldn't make it. That you're recovering. Then, quieter still, they don't know you're a janitor." Silence fell between us. Heavy, cold. She wore guilt-like perfume, subtle but strong enough to choke the room. I didn't argue. Didn't yell. Just nodded and let her walk away with her pride intact, dragging my dignity behind her like a torn wedding veil. That night, I cleaned the marble floors of a downtown high-rise. I've always liked the smell of lemon polish. It doesn't judge. Doesn't care what your arsum says. I watched the city lights blink through the glass and thought about the things people clean to avoid facing themselves. She never used to care. When we had nothing, she called me her hard-working man. When I scrubbed hotel bathrooms to pay for her nursing school, she said I was her hero. But somewhere between her graduation and her sister's influencer lifestyle, my title became inconvenient. 2 nights later, I overheard her on a call with Alyssa. "He's still recovering?" she lied smoothly. "Concussion. He's resting at home." I stood in the hallway, invisible. My injury wasn't to the head. It was to the soul. Alyssa's party was a red and gold spectacle streamed live on social media. Champagne flutes clinking. Laughter louder than the music. And then the moment came Alyssa's boyfriend arrived. He was polished. Expensive suit. Perfect posture. The kind of man my wife had convinced herself she deserved to stand beside. She introduced him with pride swelling in her voice. Then the video call happened. I wasn't meant to be part of it. I was in the kitchen, fixing the cabinet hinge she said could wait. Her phone was on the counter, screen facing up, call already connected. I didn't even know it was live. "Wait, is that?" The man's voice cut through the chatter. He leaned closer into the frame, eyes squinting, then widening in disbelief. "Hello, boss," he said, smiling. Time stopped. My wife spun, the color draining from her face. Alyssa's boyfriend beamed. "I didn't know you were related to Mr. Keene." "You work for him?" he asked, laughing. "Man practically owns half the commercial contracts downtown. Nicest guy I've ever met." Silence. Heavy. Awkward. My wife looked like she'd been slapped with truth. She pulled me aside after the call ended, hands trembling like leaves before a storm. "I didn't know they knew you," she stammered. "Why didn't you tell me?" I looked at her. Really looked. I wanted to say, "You never asked." I wanted to scream, "I cleaned floors so you could stand tall, and when I stood still, you called me small." But all I said was, it didn't matter to me. Tears welled in her eyes. I was embarrassed. I thought, I didn't want them to think I married beneath me. "You didn't," I replied, "but maybe I did." The apology came then, slurred by sobs and panic. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I was afraid they'd look down on us." "No," I said. "You were afraid they'd look down on you." The next day, Alyssa called to apologize too. "He told me who you were. I had no idea you were that, Mr. Keene. You're like legendary in the maintenance world. You started as a janitor, and now you run the operations for 20 buildings?" I smiled. Still mop the floors when I need to. She laughed, then paused. Does my sister know? I hung up. My wife tried everything after that. Gifts, notes, promises to never lie again. But lies aren't erased with paper hearts and whispered vows. They're cleaned with truth, scrubbed like dried blood off tile, slow, painful, and revealing. I stayed silent, not because I hated her, but because she needed to sit with what she'd done, with the fact that the man she was ashamed of had more dignity in one honest moment than all the polished lies she dressed herself in. Weeks passed. She asked if I'd come home. I said, "This is still my house, but not your mirror anymore." We lived like ghosts, passing in the hallway, nodding politely, the way strangers do when they share the same space but not the same world. One night she broke. "I miss you," she said, voice hoarse. "The man who scrubbed toilets just so I could wear white at our wedding." I looked at her for a long time. "He's still here," I said, "but he's not yours anymore." Sometimes, the dirtiest thing in a house isn't the floor. It's the lie someone tried to polish until it gleamed like love.